Hey Chris, what are the skills that a point guard needs to have to be one of the best point guards in the NBA?
I think preparation. Preparation. For me personally, I like to be the most prepared person on the court. You know, I'm with the coaches day in and day out. By the end of the first quarter, I want to know every play that you've called. You know, so when it gets in the second, third, fourth quarter, if you call a play, I want to know what that set is so that I can tell my teammates. I think of it sort of like people talk about Peyton Manning. You know, everybody always talks about how much film he watches and he knows what the defense is going to do. I try to do the same thing from a point guard perspective.
What is one of the toughest parts of being in the NBA?
The hardest part of the NBA life to me would have to be the travel. The travel. You know, I think a lot of times people say it's the games and it is, and that's part of it. But those back-to-backs are pretty tough. And not so much the back-to-backs as those 4 games and 5 nights, especially depending on who it is. I tell people all the time, I've been on a road trip before where, you know, you're in Phoenix and you got Phoenix on a Monday night, Utah on a Tuesday night. You know, then you leave and Wednesday you may be off. Thursday, Friday, you got Lakers, Clippers. So, you know what I mean? So it's tough because you're playing against the best athletes in the world, in my opinion, and you don't get too much time to think about it.
Chris, if you could play against one player in the NBA history, go against any player that you could choose, who would it be?
If I could play against one person in history, why? Probably be MJ. Probably be MJ, because since I was a kid growing up in North Carolina, I always watched him. Anytime the Bulls had a game, my house shut down. I remember that little music that they used to play with the NBA on NBC, you know what I mean? And every time MJ got the ball, you just knew what he was going to do and you knew he was going to score. And to actually know him now on a personal basis, I played against him when I was in college or whatever. That wasn't the same MJ that I'm thinking about, but I would just love to see what it was all about. I love to play against him.
And lastly, who is the toughest player that you have ever gone against in the NBA?
The best opponent that I've ever faced. I would say team, like the best team or whatever. I always talk about the Mavericks my second year in the league. It might have been my first or second year in the league. It's when they had Stackhouse and all them. I remember playing against those guys in Oklahoma City, and I was like, man, they are good. They are really good because every time we made a mistake, they made us pay. Every time. They didn't miss. And I remember that game. I don't know why, but that was probably one of the toughest games I played. They beat the life out of us, too.